Welcome back everyone to our horror channel. We're so excited because we are doing SCREAMTOBER. What that means is SCREAMTOBER for us. We're going to be doing a video a day until Halloween. That is right. So make sure that you tune in each week. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. If you can't join us every day, that's okay. Come by each week and check out what we're doing for SCREAMTOBER right here on the channel. Let's get started. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. This is our 1980s decade. The 1980s decade is just too fast, it's too much, and quite frankly, this show would just be too long. But thanks so much for tuning in and joining with us as we dive into the 1980s right here on the channel. We're going to go over some popular names, some unpopular names, and maybe some names you haven't heard about. So make sure that you stick around. Let's get started.
Let's start this decade with the 1980s. An American Werewolf in London, 1981.
Two American college students are on a walking tour of Britain and are attacked by a werewolf. One is killed, the other is mauled. The werewolf is killed but reverts to its human form, and the local townspeople are unwilling to acknowledge its existence. The surviving student begins to have nightmares on hunting on 4 feet at first, but then finds that his friend and other recent victims appear to him, demanding that he release them from their curse, being trapped between worlds because of their unnatural deaths.
Up next, Creepshow, 1982.
An anthology which tells 5 terrifying tales inspired by the EC horror comic books of the 1950s. 5 tales of terror presented. The first deals with a demented old man returning from the grave to get the Father's Day cake his murdering daughter never gave him. The second is about a not-too-bright farmer discovering a meteor that turns everything into plant life. The third is about a vengeful husband burying his wife and her lover up to their necks on the beach. The fourth is about a creature that resides in a crate under the steps of a college. The final story is about an ultra-rich businessman who gets his comeuppance from cockroaches.
Then we have Cujo, 1983.
Donna Trenton is a frustrated suburban housewife whose life is in turmoil after her husband learns about her having an affair. Brett Camber is a young boy whose only companion is a St. Bernard named Cujo, who in turn is bitten by a rabid bat. Whilst Vic, Donna's husband, is away on business and thinking over his marital troubles, Donna and her 5-year-old son Tad take her Pinto to Brett Camber's dad's car shop. The car fails and Cujo gets very, very sick. Cujo, a friendly St. Bernard, contracts rabies and conducts a reign of terror on a small American town.
Sleepaway Camp, 1983.
After a horrible boating accident kills her family, Shy, sullen Angela Baker, moves in with her eccentric Aunt Martha and protective cousin Ricky. One summer, Martha sends the kids to Camp Arawak. Soon after their arrival, bizarre, increasingly violent accidents claim the lives of various campers. Who is the twisted individual behind these murders? The disclosure of the murderer's identity is one of the most shocking in this movie.
Chud, 1984.
A rash of bizarre murders in New York City seems to point to a group of grotesquely deformed vagrants living in the sewers. A courageous policeman, a photojournalist, and his girlfriend, and a nutty bum who seems to know a lot about the creatures, band together to try and determine what the creatures are and how to stop them. Chud, cannibalistic, humanoid, underground dwellers.
Then we have Day of the Dead, 1985. Zombies rule the world, except for a small group of scientists and military personnel who reside in an underground bunker in Florida. The scientists are using the undead in gruesome experiments, much to the chagrin of the military. Finally, the military finds that their men have been used in the scientists' experiments and banish the scientists to the caves that house the living dead. Unfortunately, the zombies from above ground have made their way into the bunker. Next, Reanimator, 1985. After an odd new medical student arrives on campus, a dedicated local and his girlfriend become involved in bizarre experiments centering around the reanimation of dead tissue. Obsessed with the idea of overcoming the obstacle of death and determined to vindicate himself by backing up his theory, the ambitious medical student, Herbert West, arrives in New England after the horrific incident at the Institute of Medicine in Switzerland. Before long, Herbert will pick up where he left off, at first experimenting with dead feline tissue and then with fresh human cadavers. Next, The Stuff, 1985. When a mysterious white and gooey but delicious substance begins oozing from the Earth's surface, it makes a great new dessert product. But this new dessert has a sinister origin. It's an entity that takes over its victims' minds while making them crave more of it. A fan favorite, Fright Night, 1985. For young Charlie Brewster, nothing could be better than an old horror movie late at night. Two men move in next door, and for Charlie, with his horror movie experience, there can be no doubt that their strange behavior is explained by the fact that they are a vampire and his undead day guardian. The only one who can help him hunt them down is a washed-up actor, Peter Vincent, who hosts Charlie's favorite TV show, Fright Night. Vincent doesn't really believe that vampires exist, but does it for the money. You're so cool, Brewster. Vamp, 1986. Two fraternity pledges go to a sleazy bar looking for strippers to entertain their college friends. They have problems with transportation, biker gangs, and worst of all, the staff of the bar, all of whom seem to be vampires, with Grace Jones playing the head vampire. Creepshow 2, 1987.
Three more bone-chilling tales that include a vengeful wooden Native American, a monstrous blob in a lake, and a hitchhiker who wants revenge and will not die. Creepshow 2 is divided into 3 stories, conducted by a leading segment where a boy that loves the horror comic book Creepshow buys seeds of a carnivorous plant and is bullied by 4 teenagers. Meanwhile, the Creep tells the tales of Creepshow. 1. Old Chief Woodenhead. 2. The Raft. 3. The Hitchhiker.
And last but not least, WaxWork, 1988. A waxwork museum comes to town and a mysterious man invites some teens to come to a special showing at midnight. Once inside, while viewing different exhibits, the scenes come alive and the viewer is sucked into the story being portrayed. A wax museum owner uses his horror exhibits to unleash evil on the world. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching our 1980s horror and our 1980s decade for SCREAMTOBER. Catch you in the 1990s.
Thanks everyone for watching our decade horror right here on the channel for our SCREAMTOBER, the 1980s. Again, the 80s are so vast, it's too much. There's just too much in the 80s, and that is one of our favorite decades of horror. But hopefully you were able to see something on that list that you have seen before, or maybe something that you have not heard before. So go check them out. Comment down below if there's something that you would like for us to do a whole entire show on, and we will do it for you. Thanks again, guys, so much for the 1980s right here for our SCREAMTOBER on Verse Films Productions, and we'll see you in the 1990s.